All right, all right, all right. So this is the webinar on how to make 30% returns or more on your money. So hopefully you were sent to the right spot. But first things first, can everyone hear and see me? If you just type in yes in the comments, that would be amazing so I could know that the sound and the video is working perfectly. Awesome, awesome. So I'm getting a bunch of yeses. So is it okay with everyone if I just get started? All right, I'm gonna get into it then. All right, so that's awesome. And I'm your host, Dkope, and I'm just super happy and excited to be delivering this webinar to you. It's really a culmination of all my life's work up until this point. So it's a pretty big moment for me in my life. And here's the topics I want to cover today. And I'm going to first cover the eighth wonder of the world. And then I'm going to tell you the story of the greatest entrepreneur of all time. And then the last thing I'm going to give you is how to steal all my best tools free, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm actually just handing you over all the software that took me years to create. So you're going to want to stick to the end for that. And I have a special bonus on how to make $1 million in 3 years, down to the month, the week, the day, and the exact dollar amount. And this is just an awesome tool, and it's part of the tools you can steal for free. So just wait until the end, and I'll give that away to you. But first, I want to talk about who this is for. This is for both beginners and those who are already successful in the markets and just looking to scale. The information I'm about to reveal is important and can be life-changing. So please turn off the TV and get a pen to take notes on these important facts. Here was the first big epiphany I understood when trying to understand my performance. Most people think that it's the market that controls their performance, but really it's you who controls your performance, and your risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. So here's what you need for this. You need a phone with an internet connection and a sincere desire to contribute. And I say over 18 is helpful, but really you can't learn this stuff early enough. I encourage you to stick with it, even if you're 16 or 17. Even though you can't trade in the markets yet, you can still learn how to trade and try to trade, because you're gonna have to try a bunch of times before you succeed. And the last thing you need is a market understanding, and I'll show you exactly how to get that as well right at the end. Now, I'm guessing for a lot of you that this isn't your first webinar that you've attended. If you've failed at this in the past, it's not your fault. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it can be confusing. Many times that information overload keeps you from success. It's okay. If you've been concerned in the past that you can't succeed, I want to put those fears to rest. You can do this. You just need the right person to explain it to you. The large corporations out there, they want you to think that you need all these degrees and these certifications to make money. They want you to think it's too hard for you to do and too complex for you to understand. And they have their own reasons for making you want to think that, but it's just not true. So let me ask you a question. Would you go to your barber and ask if you need a haircut? Of course not, because the barber is going to say, yes, you need a haircut. And the surgeon will tell you you need an operation, and the pharmacist will say you need medication. So why approach your financial advisor in the same manner? Here's what 9 out of 10 financial advisors are doing. They're deciding how much money to make off of you. I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out. Some advisors determine your plan based solely on your age, meaning you'll be put in the same plan whether you're an 80-year-old who wants to just live comfortably or you're an 80-year-old entrepreneur trying to impact the most lives. That just doesn't make any sense. They're two completely different scenarios. You need a tailored plan for your goals and your future expenses, not some cookie cutter age-based portfolio. I mean, don't you want tailored advice that takes into account your future goals and expenses? And they will say, oh, it's just standard operating procedure. And it is. I actually started my research to reassure myself I was doing the right thing by referring friends and family to financial advisors. What I discovered about the profession was pretty appalling. 9 out of 10 financial advisors aren't required to act in your best interest, meaning they aren't fiduciaries. So you're probably thinking, Dkope, what's the big deal? The big deal is there's a huge conflict of interest with this. Of all the financial advisors in America, 44% of them admit to not having a financial advisor themselves. That's like having a personal trainer that isn't working out, or a nutritionist scarfing down Twinkies while telling you to eat healthy. Because they aren't required to give you what's best for you, they give you what's best for them, meaning the plans with their highest fees, their highest commissions. And there's sometimes even company fees on top of that. That's right, sometimes you even get charged twice for the same product or service. If you're starting to feel a little sick to your stomach, I feel you. It is sickening. It's not their fault at all, though. The hard truth is, it's our own fault for ignoring the fine print. Once we own this fact, we can't blame our advisor or planner anymore. Your advisor or planner isn't doing anything wrong. It's just standard procedure, remember? So if these financial advisors aren't fiduciaries, then what are they? Well, they're no more than a broker who is selling you a financial product or service, or both, in exchange for a fee. Most people don't even know they have fees associated with their retirement account and the mutual funds in them. Because your advisor isn't required to act in your best interest, they sell you their product or service with the highest fees. Is this starting to make sense? This is where knowledge can become power if you apply it to your retirement account correctly. And I know what you're thinking. What's a few percent between friends, right? Maybe you become good friends with your financial advisor. These fees could be costing you over half of your entire retirement account. And I'll show you with this story. 30 years ago, Bill and Scotty began saving for retirement. Bill contributes $5,000 a year for 30 years. He pays 0.2% in index fees, and the index fund returns 10.2% a year on average. Scotty contributed $5,000 a year for 30 years, the same as Bill, the exact same money, exact same time, but he paid 1.2% in expense fees, and the mutual funds he was in returned 7.2% a year on average. Bill and Scotty end up having entirely different results. Bill ends up with $904,717, and Scotty ends up with $419,008. That's less than half of what Bill has. So it's crazy how much these fees and the lesser returns of mutual funds will end up giving you in the long run. So you mean Scotty paid more for worse results? Yes, and that's not even the craziest part. The craziest part is Scotty doesn't know. He doesn't even know that he's paying these fees. And Scotty's not alone either. 92% of Americans admit they don't know what their retirement fees are. So let me ask you, do you know what your retirement fees are? 72% of Americans didn't even think they had any fees at all. Most of us don't even know. Do you see how not knowing is your real risk? You can't plead ignorance anymore. Save yourself over half your retirement and buy into low-fee index funds instead of mutual funds with higher fees. Why low-fee index funds? Index funds outperform 96% of mutual funds. That's why Warren Buffett has said upon his death that his wife's investments be put into low-cost index funds. This brings us to our first topic, the eighth wonder of the world. So, what's the eighth wonder of the world? It's compound interest. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it, and he who doesn't, pays it. Compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe, coming from one of the smartest guys to ever live in the universe, Albert Einstein. So hopefully this was a big epiphany for you. I know it was for me when I made this discovery. Before I reveal any more, I'd like to officially introduce myself and tell you my story. This is the Dkope story, and that's me with the big red arrow pointed at my head. So growing up, I'd go on vacation to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina every summer with my family. It was paradise for a week. And I owed it all to my grandparents for making my mom happen. So I'm just so grateful for everything that they gave me. And my grandfather was a real inspiration to me. He was the only person I knew that was passionate about the markets. His success was the first thing to really catch my interest. He wasn't just a stock guy, though. He was a passionate businessman. He started in a Woolworth 5 and dime cent store as a stock employee. After 42 years of working for the same company, he retired as Senior Executive Vice President of Woolworth Company. I'm so grateful to have been blessed with such great grandparents. I mean, I was far from set for life, though. Back home, it was back to reality. I bought this beast, that's what we nicknamed it. I bought this beast off my friend for $500. And I drove it back and forth to a gas station where I worked for $7 an hour. Then I drove back and forth to Rowan University where I was studying engineering for 4 years, and I ended up getting an engineering degree and graduating. I worked for 3 engineering internships, then I finally landed a decent full-time job making $47,500 as a civil engineer, and I was moving on up with a Toyota Camry. In 2008, I bought a fixer-upper townhouse and financed the entire purchase almost. In 2009, I lost my job, and that was the sole source of my income at the time. So with all this extra time, I decided to try my luck in the markets. With no plan and less than 1 year experience, I started trading tens of thousands of dollars. And I ended up losing about $10,000 in the stock market that year. That was almost everything I had. You know that feeling in your stomach when you lose a couple $100? Well, times that feeling by 50, and that's about how I felt. I was depressed, and I really felt like I let everyone down. I remember sitting with my sister, and she asked, Dave, what are you going to do? I felt so embarrassed. I didn't even know. I was $250,000 in debt, very little cash, no job, and no plan. It sure felt like rock bottom. I knew I still had my health though, and decades of earnings potential. I remember telling my sister and my parents that maybe this was all for the better. And I remember asking myself, what would my grandfather do? I remember thinking, I have no idea what he would do, but it was too late to ask anyway. He was in late stages of brain cancer and in great pain. I knew I had to make a choice though. I needed to decide that day to follow my passion for the markets or just give up. I'm sure you can imagine what everyone suggested. They told me to give up. I mean, I don't blame them for thinking that. I clearly didn't know what I was doing. No one knew it back then, but I made a decision that day that changed my entire life. Instead of focusing on trading and trying to predict the markets, I focused on market education and modeling success. In 2012, I was back on my feet and I deployed to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom as a project engineer. By 2015, I finally saw the light in the markets and got this idea of starting a company. It's a company I created to research the market and provide the best market education to those seeking it. If you haven't realized already, I'm on a mission to educate you about market risks. I'm trying to save you from any unnecessary beginner losses and give you a process to follow. Knowing how the best traders trade and how the best investors invest finally gave me the confidence that I needed. So I made my own special formula you won't find anywhere else in the market. It involves a special middle ground where all of my research led me to. And here it is. And if I could sum up my company in one slide, this would be the slide. And this is for educational purposes only. This entire webinar and everything that I create is only to educate you. And for those of you that don't know what the inflection point is, this logo up here in the top left-hand corner is a figure of what the inflection point looks like when you're looking at a candlestick chart. And the inflection point is right in the middle there where the curve goes from concave down to concave up. So right in the middle there, that is called the inflection point. And it's really a change in momentum is what it's telling you. And you know, if you think about momentum, the price was moving higher and then it kind of leveled out. And at that inflection point, it just decided to move higher. So that's what the inflection point is. And then in 2018, I had some breakthrough performance. So I'm sharing you this statement, not to brag, but really just to show you the possibilities here. So I was up 425.58% in 3 months of trading from just 5 round trip trades, and they're all listed right here on the left. It's not what I did though, it's how I did it. I did it with no leverage and barely any hardware or software, just my phone. The Robinhood trading, it's an app on your phone. I did it with a few $100s, proving that you don't need that much money. I know some of you are still probably not impressed. I'm a numbers guy though, so this was clear proof to me that I was onto something. Because there are only about 7,500 publicly traded companies and only about 10 go up 30% to 60% each week, the odds of picking one of these 10 stocks 5 weeks in a row is about 1 in 237 trillion. So Winning the lottery is 1 in 175 million. So you can see how I was super excited about these results. I felt like I won the lottery. The thing is, I don't believe I'm that lucky. If I wasn't expecting these huge returns, I know I wouldn't have got them. I realized it was me who was responsible for my performance, not the markets. Now, being a numbers guy, I realized just 5 trades isn't statistically significant, and 1,300 in a month isn't that much money. So here's my larger account, and I was up 143.58% in my best quarter with just over 50 trades. So it was statistically significant that quarter. It's true that your performance drops as your account gets larger. I see this as a good thing though. With a larger account, you have more at risk. I'm not sharing my performance to brag, like I said. I'm proving to you that I did it. If someone is claiming to be a market wizard but isn't showing you their track record with statements, run the other way. This industry is full of scammers and Ponzi schemes, and it's important to have your guards up. Even traders with great track records still make bad trades, and although they may have intended to help, they end up misleading you by leaving information out. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, Dkope, I believe you can do it. I just don't think that I can beat the market. So I'm going to teach you how. You just have to promise me that you won't use these powers for evil. You guys promise? Awesome, awesome. Getting a bunch of yeses. All right, I hope you guys are enjoying this. So the secret to beating the market comes down to 3 things: a quality trade plan, a proven process, and understanding the PO. And the PO is the performance of everything. I want to tell you another secret though that's even more valuable. It doesn't matter how much money you have, and I'll prove it right now. Would you rather be happy and healthy and super confident with every action you take, but owe $1 billion? I love this smiling kid here. Or would you rather be sick and miserable and fearful of every step you take with $1 billion in the bank? What would you rather? And I mean, you got to hand it to this kid he must have done something right for the banks to even loan him this amount of money, right? I mean, that's pretty impressive. He owes $1 billion. So yeah, of course you would rather be happy and healthy, right? That makes sense. You see, it really doesn't matter. It's just a number at the end of the day. This leads me to the story of the greatest entrepreneur of all time. So this is the story of the greatest entrepreneur of all time. I'm just going to play it for you here. I have it recorded already. So this is the story of the greatest entrepreneur of all time. And in this photo, this is the quadricycle, which took years of trial and error and resulted in this great story. Now, even though a lot of you probably aren't familiar with his full story, everyone is the beneficiary of his work. And, some of us are just too busy to research this stuff. So I decided to go ahead and, for the greater good, try and inspire and motivate you, especially in times of great uncertainty, because I know you can do it. So this man was born on a farm in Greenfield Township, Michigan on July 30th, 1863. He grew up there and had the perfect angle of the world. Like any great entrepreneur, he had to overcome great adversity. At age 13, his mother died. At 20, he walked 4 miles to his church every Sunday. At age 28, he became an engineer at the Edison Illuminating Company. 5 years later, at age 33, he culminated a series of experiments and revealed what he called the quadricycle, which is the image in the caption. This picture is the culmination of years of effort, dedication, and determination. As he rode through the streets of Detroit on his crudely made horseless carriage, I'm sure you can imagine what people said. I mean, just take a closer look at this picture. Look at the tires. They're 4 bicycle tires. The driver's seat looks like a couch, which it probably was. The gearbox only had 2 gears, and reverse wasn't one of them. The crowds gathered to scoff scornfully and ridicule him. Some said the silly-looking contraption would never become practical. Others said no one would pay money for such a vehicle. Yet this man continued, in the face of ridicule, to create the greatest entrepreneur story of all time. He rode on with confidence and said, "I'll belt the entire earth with these quadricycles." His name is so synonymous with the birth of auto that it needs no mention. What can we learn from this one historical photo and the culmination of his initial experiments? Well, when you're testing an idea, it doesn't matter how it looks at all. So I'm giving you permission right now to block out all negativity from everyone while you're in the testing phase. They couldn't possibly imagine your vision of the future because you're still creating it. Never stop creating your greatest story and your vision of shaping the world in your unique way. And that's the story of the greatest entrepreneur of all time. Awesome, awesome. So I'm just gonna keep going with this presentation. Did everybody like the story? Okay, all right. Sounds good. So here's the first step in the process, and I'm going to show you the whole process in a second. But it's really creating a simulation of your plan, and this is something that I didn't even consider when I started trading the markets, and it's the single most valuable tool that I discovered. So there's a clear gap in getting from your plan into the simulated market, and that's where So if you imagine these steps that Henry Ford went through, you see that he created a simulation of his plan. It wasn't his vision. He didn't try and actually build what he had in his mind. He just wanted something that worked. It doesn't matter what it looks like. You just got to make sure it works. I mean, that makes sense, right? So there's 4 gaps in the process, as you can see here. And I feel that it's my job as a coach and a mentor to fill in these gaps of knowledge for you. And really, once you overcome these 4 gaps, then you'll be unstoppable. You'll be an unstoppable force in this market. So let's go back to the secret of beating the market by a lot. The secret to great returns comes down to 3 things. Remember, a quality trade plan, a proven process, which I just went over, and understanding the PO. So here's the PO. There's a lot of pieces here. There's 5 pieces to the PO here, but I'm not going to get into each of them. I just wanted to show you the broad idea that I have for the PO. And I go in depth in each of these things in the course, but I just wanted to show you kind of the bird's eye view of this thing. So in trying to understand the PO myself, I developed a few tools that I think can help everyone here. So here's where you can steal all my free tools at, and it's tradeplanconsulting.com/swipe/. And this is another video that is the special bonus. So if you remember, it's how to make $1 million in 3 years, and I'll show you. I'm just going to play this video for you right now. Here goes. All right, so we're in the interest calculator Excel file, and I'm just going to go this first style here, the stay in the game style, and it's for longer term investments. You don't really care about the week to week so much when you're staying in the game, so that's why I broke out this percent return by month. So if you just change this percentage here to, let's say, 14%, well, that gets you to $1 million in 3 years. And you can see the number of months here, it's 12 times 3, and that's where the 3 years comes from. So if it was 2 years, your amount after 2 years would be $232,000 with 14% returns per month. So I'm just gonna go ahead and switch that back to 3 because that's the default here. Become a millionaire in 3 years. So if we were to go over to the swing trading style, you'd see how it's 3 years as well. It's just 52 weeks per year. So if the percent return per week was 3%, you'd be at $1 million per year. And the last one is the day trading, and you need 0.62% returns per day. And you can see there's 252 trading days per year, so a lot of people get that wrong, thinking that it's 365, but really the markets are only open 252 days. So that's where I get that number from, and it's also 3 years. And if you get 0.62 on average every day, then you should be a millionaire in 3 years. So that wraps it up for the demo on the interest calculator. See you later. Anybody feel like they're drinking from a fire hose right now? Yeah, so I know it's a lot of information to take in, and you're not going to learn it in one night. That's not my goal here. I just want you to realize that you're closer than you think to making 30% returns and really changing your life forever for the way better. Even though it seems like a lot to take in right now, I want you to realize that this is actually a huge shortcut for you. Is it all right if I ask you guys a question? Can I take just 15 minutes of your time to go over a special offer for you? Guys, I already know how to do this stuff, so if nobody wants to know, that's fine, but I really want to share this with you. Is it okay? Is it okay if I just go over this special offer in the next 15 minutes? Awesome. Okay. So part one of the offer is I give you my entire copy. That's everything that I've ever created, and one of the most valuable things is the trade plan that I created. So I do think it is $1 million plan, and you'll also get FinViz Elite access. And I know you can go onto FinViz yourself and purchase the subscription, but that subscription that you purchase isn't going to have any screeners set up in there. So I have multiple screeners set up for the different styles of trading, and they're already filtered out. Everything's there for you, and they're sorted exactly how you would sort if you were trading in that particular style. So it's really invaluable. It took me years to make the filters on the screeners just right, and also iterations of trading to make sure that to really work out all the bugs. And it's really invaluable. But I put a $2,400 value on that. And also the IPA Facebook group, that's Inflection Point Alchemy. That's the course that I teach. And I made a Facebook group about it. I post trades all the time. And actually, I just looked back. I scrolled down a little bit, and about 6 months ago, I posted about TNDM, and it's literally up 1,000% in the last 6 months. So I mean, just catching one of these trades could be life changing for you. I mean, think about being up 1,000%. What would that mean to your bank account right now? And if that wasn't enough, I'm going to even throw in a free additional 45-minute consultation. So I'll talk to anyone that I have never talked to before once, and this is an additional phone call. So I know some of my competitors charge $300, but they're not as good as me. So really talking to me on the phone is pretty priceless, because I know exactly what I'm doing, and this offer is by me, and the whole thing was done by me, so I know everything about it. You couldn't talk to a better person. The copy cost me about $100,000 to create, and 10 years working part-time and 3 years full-time. So I've taken this venture very seriously. I sold my house in December 2017. I sold my Porsche last year. Do you see where I'm going? I'm all in with this business. So if you share a similar passion for the markets, but just need someone to walk you through how everything works, I want to help you. That's why I created a market masterclass. And this is part 2 of the offer, a 6-week masterclass. And included is these 6 weeks: mindset of a trader, mechanics of the market, creating your plan, finding stocks to trade, qualifying trades, and then finally executing your plan. So the class took me about 3 months full time to record, all 30 days, and it was over a decade of trial and error through iterations and market testing. So it's about 20 hours of content with built-in action items at the end of each session. And it's just to get you to make these small actions. And it's really these small actions that are going to compound into something much greater over the 30 days. I named the course Inflection Point Alchemy because it turns traders into gold. When this becomes mainstream, it's going to change the entire financial landscape. And you can get it right now on the ground floor. If that wasn't enough, I have even more. So part 3 of the offer is the Alchemy of Self PowerPoint. And this is, I put a $500 value because the idea is definitely worth at least $500, but this could completely transform your life, just this document. So it's super valuable. I can't give this away for free just because of where I got it from, but it is included if you buy into this offer at the end of this webinar. And there's also my trade template, which I used to give away for free, and you can still get it for free on the tradeplanconsulting.com/swipe. It's still up there for free, and the compound interest file is still up there for free. I do think these values are right, even though I'm just giving it to you. These are the tools I created for myself to save time and also limit my risk. A lot of this is about risk management. So once again, to steal my tools for free and use them, you can go to this link right here. And part 4 of the offer I'll be honest. This is kind of a bit of an unknown. I started this company, the Volatility Complex. I honestly started it to test my own business, and it just kind of grew into this monster that kind of has developed a mind of its own. It's kind of like volatility based research and development. But so Henry David Thoreau had a great quote, and he said, "Maturity is when your mirrors turn into windows." So that really inspired me to really put out $100 to test your product or service or business. And so with laser focus, I'm just going to sharpshoot your business and your life problems. And you'd be surprised how far I can stretch this $100. So I'm just gonna sum up everything that you're gonna get with this offer. You're gonna get the copy, which is, it cost me $100,000. So it's crazy that I'm just saying it's a $10,000 value. Like I think I think it's worth at least 10,000. And then the FinViz Elite subscription is $2,400 value. The IPA Facebook group, IPA Masterclass with the mindset of a trader, the mechanics of the market, creating your plan, finding stocks to trade, qualifying trades, executing your plan, the alchemy of self document, the trade template, the compound interest file, and then the volatility complex, which is $100 value of business testing. And you can't get this testing anywhere else in the market. You just won't find it. And it's a total value of $19,397. So you can go on tradeplanconsulting.com right now and you can buy my masterclass for $6,000, and it's worth it. People will tell you that it's worth it. But because you guys are on the webinar with me, I really want more people to get interested in this. I really want to lower the price of admission for you guys. So I had two choices to make when pricing this offer. I could have priced it really cheap to try and get the most people enrolled, or I could price it a little higher and be able to give you a little more personalized service. So here's what you get. Instead of 6,000 and actually even 4,000, I'm going to even mark it down more than that because this is the first webinar that I'm doing, and because I can tell you're serious about this and I love action takers. If you purchase this on this webinar right now, here's what I'll do. So not 6,000, not 4,000. I'm going to take the price all the way down to $19.97. And it's just an insane value. It's literally 90% off from the total value. So you won't find this anywhere else. And I encourage everyone to make the commitment in themselves today. Make the investment in yourselves for your own education so that you're not stumbling around with your financial advisor, wondering what fees you're paying. Don't you want to know how everything works? Don't you want to understand the market? So with that, here's where you get started. You can go on Dkope.com and you can find this logo right here, the inflection point logo, and then you may have to add the product to your cart, the masterclass to your cart. But if you apply this coupon, first webinar, then all these things you see right here will be included, and you can start today. After this webinar, I'm going to go in and I'm going to see who signed up, and I'm going to allow them access right now. If this is a replay, if you're buying it, you might need to wait till 6 a.m. because I do like to personally allow access just to make sure that it's a real person and not somebody trying to rip all my teeth. I do think this is an insane value, and with that, I'd like to open things up for questions, and you guys can just type in questions in the comment box right now. Okay, so first question is, where do I start? So you literally go to Dkope.com and click on the logo and then add the product to the cart, the masterclass, the IPA masterclass, and then you type in first webinar and you can apply the coupon, and that's when you see this $19.97 price. That's just a crazy, crazy value. How do I make time for this? Yeah, I know I said you guys can make time. I have an ad out there, how to create time like a god. But really, it comes down to your time management skills and planning out your days. And it's a great idea to spend time planning so that you can use your time more efficiently. And you won't be making the same decisions over and over again. You can just make one decision about something that you do every day, and that can free up a crazy amount of time. The average American watches 5 hours of television, which is just insane to me. Because if they just spent 1 hour a night working on whatever they were passionate about, they'd be an international expert in 7 years. So, why everyone's not doing this, I don't know. Next question is, do you finance? So, no, I don't finance. If you want access to this class, you're gonna have to pay $19.97, but I do know that Visa and MasterCard finance, and that's actually how I bought a course. I actually bought into a large proprietary trading firm, and you might know them. And I actually paid $6,000 on credit, and it was worth it because of what they were teaching. I pulled out my credit card and I bit the bullet, and I paid $6,000, and that made it real. Like, the money leaving my account made it real. I took it a lot more seriously when I had all that money invested. Next question is, I thought I didn't need money. So that's funny. You don't need any money. You just need credit to buy the course, and then you can start making money and growing a small account. Now, I don't know anybody without at least $2,000 of available credit. So I really don't think that's that much to invest in your own education, especially if you're going to understand the market at the other end, because people pay $100,000 for college degrees and they don't even understand their own market that they're in, which is crazy. I want my money back from these schools, but it's highway robbery what these schools are doing. And I'm just asking for, it's basically the price of a few college credits at a community college. It's $2,000. When you think of it as education, it doesn't seem like it's as much. And treat it like an investment in yourself. Can you just give me your plan for free? No, unfortunately, I can't just give you my plan for free, because anything given away for free is generally not appreciated, and therefore you wouldn't experience the transformation. I'd send you the plan and you'd say, oh, thanks, and then you might try and take it to the market and fail, or you might just never even use it ever. Whereas if you paid for the course, now you have this huge desire to want to succeed, and I'll definitely make it worth it for you, and try and motivate you along the way and inspire you to be the best you can be. Next question is, where do you get the energy? So I get the energy from, actually, I watch inspirational videos all the time, and I try and work out every day. That actually increases my energy levels. And there's been studies showing that working out actually increases your mental sharpness as well, and it increases your focus for a couple hours after the workout. So working out right in the morning before the market's open, that's a great idea. Take that and use it tomorrow. Next comment is I can't afford it, and that that's that reminds me of Guy Kawasaki's book Rich Dad Poor Dad, when he had his poor dad would say things exactly like this, like I can't afford it, but his rich dad just had a slightly different view of things. It was how can we afford it? And just that little change in mindset is just a huge difference, and that could make all the difference in your success. So I encourage everyone to shift their mindset from I can't afford it to how can I afford it? And that's a huge change. And you have to have a really resilient mindset for all this. So it's important to start training your mind to think a certain way. I really look forward to working with you all. Looks like a few of you are already signing up. So with that, if there's no more questions, then I look forward to working with y'all, and I will see you later. Goodbye.